Ward here with Mercedes-Benz of Linden. 801-222-4400 is our direct number, located in Linden, Utah at exit 273. What I want to show you today is a little bit about the map operation with the Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz uses a command system. They call this a command system. This is the command controller, and it's basically just a little joystick. I can move it up and down. I can also use a touchpad, but most all Mercedes will have this controller in it. I like the controller because I'm not using my finger. I'm not having to make contacts here and take my eyes off the road. I like to be able to use this. It's very easy to control. Now, if you notice, if I come up here into the center of the screen, my menus disappear. Now, to bring my menus back, I just simply pull this back and I can see my menus, and it'll stay on there for a few seconds while I manipulate a few things. Let's go here to navigation. And you can see that I've got some different things that I can look at on my navigation. Now, if I pull this back, I also at the bottom of the screen have options, and I can go to route settings and map orientation. For example, I like heading up, and that is selected. Route settings, for example, I can say, hey, let's have a dynamic traffic route so I can go around construction and those kinds of things. So I can set that, or I can go fastest route, the most economic route, the shortest route, and I can choose that. Right now I've selected fastest route. I can also calculate alternative routes if I need to do that. Now I can go back over here, and I'm just moving the joystick on one side or the other. On map content, I can also add some nice little features here. I can add some points of interest and things like that. Here I can say highway information. I can select next intersecting streets and things like that I can add on there. Now, if I go back to settings, I can also add things for my phone call on the map. If I'm on the phone, gas on reserve, I can select that. Attention assist is my system that you can predict and warn me if I'm falling asleep at the wheel and things like that. So anyway, I've got gas on reserve. It's going to come up and warn me. So anyway, there's some other ways to get some different information. If I go to traffic, I can say, okay, let's get some messages from traffic, things that are going on. Do I want to put traffic on the map? This has got incidents and speed and things like that. So I can make my maps really busy, or I can kind of cut out some of the stuff that I wouldn't want. Position, I can get exact where I'm at. Position, some coordinates. Now I want to show you one more feature here, and I think this is kind of important because basically we want to be able to program our home, so that if we get lost, we can always find our way back. So if I go here to destination, you can see that I've got some options. I can bring things up from contacts. What I'm going to do is bring up a previous destination. Now, of course, we can use our voice control here. I just push the voice control. I can enter in a destination. So that's what I recommend to do, is put that in via voice control. Now, once we have programmed something in there, and whether it's looking for it or not, we're going to go to destination. And when I go to destination, I can pull up from previous destination. So I've already put in my home number, and I pull it up, and it's going to show it. So let's use this address here. I pull up that address, and if you notice, I've got a save button right there. I go down to save, and then I save that as my address. And now it comes up as my address every time that I might need it. So now I can pull things up, and if you notice, it has a little compass next to my address, so it means that it's programmed. When I push that, brings up the address. I say continue. Your route is being calculated, and it's going to find my way back home. Pretty simple that way. Some other things here to look at here with the navigation is if I go to the middle section of the screen here, notice again my menus disappear. And now if I turn, I push down, and then if I turn, so I push straight directly down, and then I can scale the map by simply moving this one way or the other. and bring up my resolution here for the map. Again, very easy to use. Again, I've got it programmed or set up to show that I'm moving forward in the car. I like that view because then it's following me as I go down the streets. Pretty intuitive, very easy to use. I think once you play with it a little bit, just remember, pull back to get your options and your menus. Then, of course, we can jump up to the top here and we can run to radio. And, of course, that carousels through. If I want to save these as presets and things, I can push down on my deal. It brings up a list of all of the things that are kind of saved. If I press it down and I hold it for a few minutes, it brings up a bank here. So let's program that as number 1. I select it. Boom, there it is. And I can go down through 100 different channels. And now, if I want to bring it up, I would just simply hit 1, and then I could bring up what I've programmed. Now that would look a little busy, so let me show you another thing that we can do. If I bring up my my options here, and I go to preset, let's say station preset view off, and now when I come up here and I hit it once, it only shows these ones that I have got done. And if you notice, Pop 2K is number 1, which is the one that I programmed. And now it'll be less busy. So if I go over here and I want to program this station, I can pop it down to number 2. So again, what I'm doing, I'm scaling through, and it doesn't matter if it's AM, FM, it doesn't matter if it's a Sirius XM satellite channel. I can program these in the order that I like to use them, and then I can simply push this and bring them back up. So what I'm doing is I push it once to bring up the list, and I actually hold it down for a while, for about 3 or 4 seconds, to bring up the one that I want to program. Move to the slot, push it, brings up my deal. Now notice I've got an FM, I've got a satellite radio station. So again, to bring up the station, push it once, I can hit Pop 10 or Pop 2K, and there it is. Very simple to recall and bring up. It used to be that Mercedes had like a keypad over here, and we could do it that way. Now it's just done with this controller, and it's very simple that way again. And then remember, we've always got the shortcut buttons through the middle, whether it's these settings. I pull that up and I can get some different vehicle settings as far as lighting and things like that. I can turn on acoustic feedback, things like that. And I can always go shortcut buttons back to my navigation. I can hit radio, go to radio, and media is going to be either set up with my disc, or this is where I'm going to get Bluetooth streaming audio. So if I bring up the option to do, so if I hit this twice, it's going to bring up my options. So I've got a CD player here, and then I've got memory card in the center console I can plug in. Music register is going to be where we've saved music on the car. Media interface 1 and 2 is going to be if you plug your iPod into the center console. And then here's Bluetooth. So if I select Bluetooth, it's going to go up with the device. For example, your phone, if it was programmed. Here I can go to connect devices. I can get a list of connected devices, and yours will show up if you've programmed your phone already, and we're good to go. Now to program your phone, we're simply going to go over here, connect device, and then just follow the instructions here. For both Apple and Android, any of the modern phones, it's going to come up here in this search. You're going to follow the instructions here. You'll say pair. They'll ask you some questions on your phone. You simply pair them up. If you notice here, there's another option. So sometimes your phone might want to push the notification over to the car, and you might want to initiate it from the phone. Then we can just say search using the phone, and then on your phone you've initiated Bluetooth, and it's reaching out to the car instead of the car reaching out to the phone. So some options that way. Anyway, some basic commands there and processes to ensure that your command screen is being used properly and easily. Of course, you don't want to have to try to figure this stuff out on the go. You want to be able to just push some basic buttons and get things going. Now, if you notice, I just pushed the star button, and the star button brings up your favorites. So you can program some of the things that you use most of the time right here by just hitting the star button. And you can grab these things and you can pull them backwards and forwards and put them in the order that you want. Now, if you notice, media was there. So here I can come up, I can reassign it, I can move it, and I can hold it down and move things. So if I'm over there in a certain station maybe that I like or something like that, then I can you know, program that as well. Note also one other thing is this this little note right here. I can set surround sound, equalizer, and that kind of thing under that. And you can see there, again, I can go to different Let's do one more programmable thing, and that is how to program your steering wheel, your seat, and your mirrors. So right here, this is how we control the mirrors. You're going to push one side or the other, and you're going to get it where you want. If you notice, each one of these sections look like the seat. You're going to adjust the seat, and then right back here, you're going to adjust the steering wheel as you want. And then to program, we're going to simply hit M, and then the number you want to program it at for about a second. So it's not at the same time, it's just M and then the number, and you'll hear it beep. Anyway, that's Steve with Mercedes-Benz of Linden. Great vehicle. Contact one of our representatives here if you have any other questions, 801-222-4400.